Irish champion Liam Ward, when he came over here for the Dewhurst Stakes in October, it was Lester Piggott in the irons. And as they toyed with their opponents, it was clear that two super talents were blending into something quite exceptional. 5 wins as a 2-year-old and never off the bridle.
That win in the Dewhurst meant that Nijinsky went into winter quarters as Andy Post's favourite for the 2,000 guineas. And after a prep race at the Curragh, which he duly won, he started a red-hot favourite for the Colts Classic here at Newmarket in 1970. Lester Piggott was reunited with him, and it was the start of an historic year.
With 2.5 furlongs to go now as they come up to the bushes. It's Yellow God on the rails, Nijinsky cruising up beside him with Amberama on the outside, coming under pressure. Hunter Cook is running on quite well on the far side, but with a 400 mile to go, they run down into the dip. Is Nijinsky coming through almost on a tight rein from Yellow God on this side, then Amberama, then Hunter Cook, Joshua running on strongly on the far side. They're coming up the hill out of the dip now, and it's Nijinsky from Yellow God, but no danger whatever to the favourite, just having to be shaken up. Nijinsky from Yellow God, Amberama, Roi Soleil running on might be third at the post. Nijinsky's the winner.
The buzz that Nijinsky and Piggott were now developing was something very special, and in the Derby they had a real test. 2 good colts were over from France, the Sandy Barclay ridden Stintino, trained by Francois Boutin, and the Bill Williamson handled Gier, a son of the remarkable Seabird, and the first horse his trainer Etienne Paulet could mention in the same breath. For a few moments, the French opponents looked like stretching Nijinsky. Then, for the first time, Piggott had to use his whip, and the answer will stay always in the memory.
And Meadowville and Longtill are the leaders. Longtill on the rails, Meadowville on the outside. Gier coming up and moving very strongly indeed on the outside of the leading 3. Great Walls burst through on the inside. Nijinsky is still there, going quite easily just behind the leaders. And Stintino is coming with a great run on the outside. With a furlong and a half to go now, it's Gier who's taken up the running from Great Wall on the far side. Stintino on this side. And now Lester Piggott is bringing Nijinsky to make his challenge in between them. And with just 150 yards to go, is Nijinsky coming away from Gier on the far side, then Stintino, then Great Wall, then Meadowville. Is Nijinsky an easy winner of the Derby? Nijinsky the winner, Gier second, Stintino third.
Nijinsky marched brilliantly forward in that summer of 1970. He hacked up in the Irish Derby under Liam Ward, and then with Lester on again, played with the previous year's Derby winner Blakeney in the most impressive victory in the whole history of the King George VI and Queen Elizabeth at Ascot. But a cloud was gathering, or more specifically an attack of ringworm. It debilitated the colt in August, and although Nijinsky did win the Triple Crown by actually coming home impressively at Doncaster in the St Leger, Lester didn't have as much up his sleeve as his stillness might suggest.
It's Politico on the rails. Charlton is with him. Nijinsky now just coming out, and at the moment Lester hasn't asked him anything at all. With 2 furlongs to go, Politico on the far rails. Charlton losing his pace. Nijinsky cruising up on the outside, as smooth as silk. With a furlong and a half to go, is Nijinsky cruising into the lead from Politico, and followed by Meadowville now in third place, and then Charlton. 150 yards to go, and this great horse striding home Nijinsky from Meadowville, challenging strongly on this side. Politico on the far side. The post is Nijinsky the winner.
Now, had he retired after the St Leger, he'd have gone to start as the unbeaten winner of 11 races and probably regarded as the greatest racehorse of the 20th century. But it was not to be. And whether he was feeling the effects of a hard season or that ringworm that he'd had a couple of months earlier, he wasn't the same horse when he went over to Paris for the Prix de l'Arc de Triomphe. He still started a red-hot favourite in Paris, but Lester held him up towards the rear of the field, and when he asked him for that famous burst of finishing speed, it wasn't quite as emphatic as it had been in the past.
Stannis breaks into the lead there. Unbelievably, it was Stannis breaks into the lead. Sassafar on the outside. Nijinsky is starting his run on the right outside, and so is Blake. And now they're racing. It's just about a furlong and a half to go, and it's just Stannis on the far rail, and Sassafar and Nijinsky on the side.
So to the last racing scene of all, it was on this course in the Champion Stakes, and it was a sad one, because what had seemed a good target for a grand finale and a chance for Lester to answer critics of his ride in the Arc began to go wrong before the start. Nijinsky's nerves were shot through after his Longchamp ordeal. He was awash with sweat, and when it came to the crunch, all the old effortless brilliance had drained away.
On the rails nearest to us, far away, some of the dropped right out of it. Hot Foot shows just in front. Nijinsky is now being brought up on the outside as they run down into the dip with a furlong and a half to go. It's Nijinsky on this rail, Hot Foot with the sheepskin noseband on his outside, and Nijinsky coming up on the outside. He's drawing up level. Leicester's going to have to get at him. It's going to be a close thing, but as they race up the hill, it's Nijinsky on this side, and Nijinsky is going to win. It's Nijinsky from Nijinsky, Hot Foot and Dictus, and that's the way they pass the post. Nijinsky is the winner, Nijinsky second.
Well, after the Champion Stakes, Nijinsky was syndicated for the then world record fee of $5.5 million, and he went off to start in Kentucky. And it was from here that he became one of the most successful stallions of all time. His covering fee rose to $450,000 as his progeny started to win races all over the world. And in 1986, he signed both the Epsom Derby winner Sharastani and the Kentucky Derby winner Ferdinand in the same crop. And when you look at the big names that this horse signed, it makes you realise just what a great horse he was. Green Dancer, Ile de Bourbon, Golden Fleece, Carrion, Shadid and Royal Academy were just some of his famous sons. And coming right up to date, last year's champions, Generous and Suave Dancer, are both grandsons of Nijinsky.
And here's the man who shared those glorious moments and the sad moments too, Lester. When did you first hear or first know there was something very special with Vincent O'Brien?
Well, I believe that from the time we began to work, he always went well. He was a great big horse, and he was always galloping over his companion.
And then when he came here, I remember the Dewhurst stage, we saw that. He just toyed with that. That was one of your cheekiest ones.
Yeah, but, he had a few races when he came over here, and I think he was a big old time anyway, and just candid up there.
And even by your standards, going into the spring of 1970, that must have been quite a buzz for you. You really had got something to ride.
Well, he was a terrific horse, and when he came here for the 2000. He didn't really have a lot to beat, and there were mostly a lot of good benders that year, and so towards the end, he just candid over him.
We've seen that. And then to the Derby. I mean, a mile and a half was unknown territory, and the first time you actually had to get hold of him and give him a crack then.
Yeah, well, it was just loitered a bit halfway up the straight, but because he'd never. Run on a track like that. He'd never been around the turn before, But, once I just gave him one, it just took off,
And the best performance of all that we remember was the King George. Was that the best he ever did for you?
Well, I thought so, it was terrific that day, there were only very few runners, but he was never out of the canter.
And won the Derby the year before, Blakeney.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And Lester, to go on through, the St Ledger wasn't as easy, you said afterwards, as it actually looked.
Well, not really, he looked, and he did, he won easily, but it wasn't that comfortable as you would have liked,
And in the arc, he was upset in the paddock beforehand, but if you had the race over again now, Lester, if we could roll the clock back, could you have ridden him differently and won? Would you win on him today if he...
Well, I rode him on the safe side of it, I didn't take any chances on that, and what beat him really was just in the shadow of the post, he just went to the left, probably in the last 20 yards, it just was the lesson of no chance to just take him out in time, and that's what cost him the race.
At his best, would he have won that clearly, do you think?
I thought so, I thought he'd been in the summer of that year, he'd have won easily.
And then here, when he came the last time, he'd gone.
Well, yeah, he never showed any sparkle at all,
Lester, did you ever go and see him when he went to start? What did he look like as a stallion?
Well, I've seen him a few times over the years, but he got to be a bit old looking the last few years.
Not like some of us, no. And when did you last see him? Was he in the last sort of couple of years?
Last year, yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
And looking back now, have you ever ridden a better? To say he's the best, have you ever ridden a better?
Well, it's very hard to tell because, you know, from one year to the next year, you can't really tell, really, you know. But I've never ridden such an imposing horse. He had everything.
He did. It's what we've seen now is terrific. Lester, thank you. 22 years on.
Thanks very much.
He's got